So today's topic, as we agreed on, Dharam, is impossibilities to possibilities, the role of PMI certifications in that, move from something that is just not here and now you can do it. So
Exactly.
can you explain a little bit what that topic would contain?
So we're talking here impossibilities to possibilities by having some PMI certificates. And PMI is the Project Management Institute, and this is a global body, and some of you already know what PMI has been doing for a long time. And so before we get into the certification, let's focus on understanding what PMI is, what are the purpose of PMI when they started, and
Okay.
and many people actually aware of that. Yes, last year PMI has celebrated 50 years, and
Exactly.
And that was a great event, to see that such a organization which was started on the dinner table between some of the learned people at the time, James Snyder, Eric Janet, and Susan, and Gordon Davis, and these people, they thought, why not? They are running the projects, but everybody's doing differently. Why not we bring some some standard? And I think that's where they start thinking, and they start, why not we bring a standard? I think the first standard came out, probably that, somewhere in 80s, the project management standard, which was refined further in 90s, and then what we have at the moment is a sixth edition of the standard for project management, the PMBOK. They call it PMBOK, Project Management Book of Knowledge. I did my certificate in PMP certificate in 2004, and that time it was second edition. And probably I think you did with the first edition, isn't it?
Yeah, I did it as a first edition, which was issued in 1996. It was the first edition, but before that, two other versions of the PMBOK guide existed. I think the first one was issued in 1983. So there was already a small portion of the knowledge gathered. By the way, the standard is called a guide to the project management body of knowledge.
Yes.
So think about it. The body of knowledge of project management is what is really available in the heads of all these people out there who are doing projects. And nobody can assume to put all that knowledge into one book or in one library, even that. So what really happened is that we say, okay, we want to write a book, or PMI wants to write a book, which is really giving a guide to all this body of knowledge things, and so the structure of the book was revised in 96. So when I certified for that, and it has been stable like this, with 10 knowledge areas and 5 process groups and so on, so many processes. It has been continued like this until now. And next year we will have the edition 7, which changes the structure, because the guide was just getting too big, 750 pages. Nobody really can digest that if he's a newcomer. I read it several times for sure, but I'm in the business for more than 20 years.
Yeah, so it has evolved, and we have seen it. I think from very boring to it's more. While the book is becoming bigger and bigger, in the 6th edition was, if you add Agile into that, it's around 850 or something. It's a huge book, but it's very interesting. We don't. Yes, a lot to learn. If you know how to read it, it becomes very easy, very, very interesting.
Right.
So yeah, going back, to this the PMI journey, 1969, as we said, in Atlanta, they got together and start thinking, and they built. So now, as of now, and many people are aware that PMI certification are growing very fast. Total number of PMI certificates, including PMP, PgMP, and ACP and others, I think it's more than 1.6 million certificates. Yes, that's a different story that many people have multiple certificates. So we're talking about multiple altogether. So
Right,
if we just talk about PMPs, I think we hit the last year, we hit $1 million PMPs mark. Now probably we are 1,060,000. So the number is growing very, very fast. While everybody talk about Agile and the thing, but these certificates are still relevant and giving benefit to lots of organization and people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think, the PMBOK guide, this book, which was considered to be the knowledge base for studying for the PMP exam. This PMP, Project Management Professional, is the first certification of PMI, and it is almost 40 years existing,
Yeah.
And the PMBOK guide was considered to be a good guide to learn about the project management knowledge, which was then asked for in the exam. And when I said at the exam in '98, as you said, the exam was of a duration of 8 hours with 400 questions to be answered.
Yeah.
These were multiple choice questions. So yeah, it changed a bit. So they pulled it down to 200 questions and 4 hours. And from next year, by the way, they will even reduce the 200 questions to 180 questions. And the 4 hours to 230 minutes. So 10 minutes less than 4 hours. So this is what happens in next year.
Yes, and I think they are not reducing. In a way, they have reduced the time, but the 10 minutes taken away is actually they give an extra one break. So the time for exam is 2 hours and 30 minutes. 230 minutes altogether. But you have 2 breaks in this time.
Yeah.
So I think people have to keep an eye on the changes coming. This interesting changes happening from PMI, especially in the PMP space. Not only number of question reduced and the type of question also changing. Earlier we have a multiple choice question only. Now they're bringing multi-choice and even the fill in the blanks and few other type of questions. So people have to keep an eye on what is coming. Maybe I think we should do another program where we talk about the changes. We'll think about it. I think that people like to know about it. That the changes, that exam change, and how this will benefit them. Whatever PMI doing. It's not that some people think it's too much work or something, but PMI is doing something for better, and it should improve your learning capabilities and how you do your project even better. So probably Thomas. So in 2019, PMI created a concept called project economy. So in which people have skills and capabilities they need to turn ideas into reality. You are aware of that?
Right. I'm very well aware of it. So actually, from 2017 to 19, last year, I was on the board of directors of PMI, and I was with the other board of directors. We were jointly developing and approving this new branding and a whole change, a new strategy of PMI. So what we did in 2019, which was the 50th anniversary of PMI, we really said we wanted to make it very visible that PMI is changing. So we hired some agencies who helped us with rebranding. And interesting, the main designer is 22 years old, and if you see that, you can see on the board, I think the average age was over 50. So now, you can see the difference. That very clearly the board understood that we have to involve much more young people, so the whole spectrum of people. And if you talk about project economy, for a long time, and we looked for professionals. So it normally starts, let's say, with 22, 23, when people get a job, go into that profession, maybe sit for the PMP exam, And then when you're retired with 60, 65 or so, okay, you go out of it. Now the project economy is looking for people from the age of 5 to the age of 75. So it's an expansion of the stakeholders we want to serve as PMI.
Exactly.
And for that, very, very sure, we want to look at the kids in school, and we have done it before through the PMI Educational Foundation, which helped a lot of schools develop the programs for kids. And we also announced a new certificate, not the PMP, but a new certificate for people from the 7th grade on, so that can gain a knowledge and a certificate in project management even before they have a job on it. Because even in schools you do projects, and at home you do projects. More and more, the whole life becomes a lot of projects, and that's what we call project economy. It is ubiquitous.
Exactly. So the new perspective for professionals to have right skills, right mindset, ability to integrate well into the project and project scenario seamlessly within the organization, with the organization strategy and vision. So it's a great thing PMI is doing. So so let's talk about various certificates. And now, as you mentioned, some of the new certificates and some of the existing certificates. So PMI introduced PMP long time back, and they saw the success and an acceptance of PMP. Almost every organization, when they're hiring a project manager, they look for a PMP. So the PMP is now kind of hygiene factor, which you have to have a PMP. Without that, you cannot enter into the job market. So I was surprised when I was now actually when the people with the 40s and 50s is coming back, Dharam, I have to do PMP. So I never thought I'd have to utilize this certificate to prove my my experience. But believe it or not, without certificate, even if you are into the industry for last 30 years, the recruitment agent or the hiring people, they don't see you your eligibility, your resume, until your application go through the filter, and that filter means you have to have PMP. That's why people now realizing that this certificate such as PMP or other certificate like program manager professional, project portfolio manager professional, and there are many other certificates, CAPM, PBA, ACP, RMP. So these certificates are adding more value to their employability.
Right. And let me tell you my story. I started to become an acting project manager in 1988. In 98, I sat for the exam. So it was 10 years time when I was acting as a project manager, and then I decided to go there and become a PMP. And I was working for IBM. And at this time in 98, IBM did not yet require the PMP exam as a career goal for project managers. I did it for myself, because I wanted to learn, I wanted to become better, and I was always looking at the leading edge things. Now, this one was my PMP story. It helped me a lot after that, but I also worked as a program manager later in my career. And when I retired, I only then found the time to get a certificate as a PgMP, so which is, as you might agree, much more difficult than the PMP, and it's much less, a certificate that helps you to shine on the job market, because we have only 3,000 PgMPs around it, but 1 million of PMP. As you said, it's a hygiene factor, but the PgMP is more something, if you really want to stand out, if you want to be a part of a group of elitist program managers, then the PgMP is the right thing. But you don't do it for earning more money, because nobody can prove that you earn more money with that. But you do it for yourself, that you develop yourself to another level of expertise.
Yeah. So as having this certificate will help you into the job market, get into job market. So one of the things not just the job market, also growing into the same organization. People see you as a SME, and don't just go for the certificate just because everybody is doing certificate. There are every day you open a LinkedIn, you find some people sharing, I got my PMP. It's a great to share, and you get, you feel that you're popular for a day. But more important is the learning you get from the certificate is more than just having a certificate. So that's where your growth is. One is you can enter an organization by having a PMP or PgMP or PfMP, but now you have to prove yourself as well. And that that you can demonstrate by having the knowledge you have gained part of the certification.
Right. It builds your standing, your attitude, your self-confidence. That's what this certificate is doing, for the first. And with a better self-confidence and a bit better attitudes and a better mindset, you will automatically gain the next steps in your career. I think I was the first one in IBM Germany to get the PMP, and managers didn't know about it for some time. But when they knew about it, they were this was also a good base for future growth and for acceptance and for my reputation within IBM, but also for clients of IBM who then looked for a PMP as an IBM project manager, and here he was.
Very good. Yeah. So to talk further about this, the two investigations areas that focus on the research paper. Beyond project management certification, the broken thread. So there's some research has been done by PMI to look into, without certification, with or without, what can be achieved. So we checked from the two point of view. Area one, which is certified individuals. So these are individuals like you and me getting the certificate. The second part is the companies, the organization getting the certificate. Getting their staff to go through the certification process. So, and the individuals getting certification, this area focus on the evaluation method by project management certified individuals before and after certification. So what happened before and after the certification. So here we are focusing on the motivation to gain the certificate, why people get into the certification. The second part is the certification process itself, preparation process. And the third part is the result to date after the certificate. Many people say that they got certificate, but they don't get the result. It's not that the certificate going to give you result. You need to utilize that certificate to get the result. And what the future expectation they have from the certificate. So these are the four aspects considered and in that study. And also the second area was from the company's point of view, because companies they are getting their project managers, program manager, portfolio manager to go through this certification. What are their motivation? Why they want to get the certificates? So here we're talking six major parts. One is motivation to invest into the project management certification, because these certifications are costly. We know that, and to get 100 project managers certified, it's a big money. So they have to have certain motivation to get the team of people certified. Okay, and we need to think about. They look for the acquisition process. How can they get the certificate, certify their maximum number of people as early as possible? They can be acquiring, ATP or some. Now ATP is the authorized training partner. Previously it was called REP. So they have built partnership with them. They invite them, and the ATP a PMI trainer will come and do the training. The third thing they looked into the maintenance process. The certification is done, but how people are going to maintain their certificate? And you probably know by having PDUs. PDU is Professional Development Unit. So that means PMI is expecting not only have the certificate, but continue to learn so that you can maintain your certificate, one important aspect, but continue to learn and grow your project management skills and deliver the benefit to the organization. So the other market research after the certification and future expectation. So there are various areas this research has done, looked into. So the results were very, very unique. So And no, we will talk. Myself and Thomas will talk, and we'll talk about these few suggestions here.
Yeah.
So if we look at Thomas, if we look from the particular personal, individual person, what are the main motivation people have to gain the certificate? Why people like to go into the certificate, whether PMP or PgMP or any other certificate?
Well, I think a lot of people understand that with getting some kind of badge, some label, some certificate, you are better positioned in the job market, and you will be easier found by the robots that are checking the CVs, and if you don't have a certain hygiene factor certificate, then you still have to answer the question, why don't you have it? Is it and then you say, for me, it's not important, but that's always a defensive approach,
Exactly.
I think, but when I look at my personal story, I think it's a little bit not so common, because I really did it because I wanted to learn. I was always at the leading edge of the certificates, and then try to do that.
Yeah.
And I even after retirement, as I said, I went for the PgMP, and the PMP, I was the first one in Germany in IBM. So that was somehow, a drive, to improve myself and to gain knowledge and to gain in the prerequisites for being a competent project manager, which I think achieves a lot. When I look at my employer this time, IBM, IBM had a crisis in the mid-90s, and then IBM had a new CEO, Lou Gerstner, who came from a totally different industry. I think the cookie industry, Nabisco, and he was hired by IBM, and he did a lot of changes within IBM. And one of the changes was that he said, I want to become a project-based business in IBM.
Yeah.
Because at this time, he also said, we have to serve our clients much better, service business, project-based business. And for that, he created what is called a project management center of excellence. With the task to really standardize project management across the globe, because IBM is a very diverse company with divisions and different products at this time, hardware products, product development, sales, services, what have you. And every of these divisions had their own project management ideas. Not only the standards and the methods they worked along, but also certifications, knowledge, and so on. I think there were thousands of different project management classes all over the globe, alone in IBM. And the PMCOA replaced that by one standard, which luckily for PMI was the guide for project management body of knowledge as a standard, and the PMP exam as a knowledge approval step, So and then it was also the base of the IBM internal project management career path. So IBM established also a career path, especially for project managers. Basically, there was a career path for managers, and there was a career path for subject matter experts, architects, engineers, what have you. And in between was a project manager career path. So you could move from all these other career paths into project management, or from project management to management. And I had a lot of IBM managers, first-time managers, second-time managers, who then moved back to project management, in that career path. So I think a career path for an organization is very important, and it's also the base to improve the organization's maturity in doing projects. And this career path and this whole idea was measured by IBM with one KPI, and this was the percentage of lost money because of bad projects.
Bad project and bad project management. Not bad project management, but
Right. Of projects gone bad for different reasons. It might be the project manager and the standard, or it might be other reasons, but they measure this percentage from the total revenue. And during the time I was there, and so these KPIs, it went down dramatically and continually. And that was the reasoning, the economic reasoning, to continue the path to become a all the better project-based business.
Yeah. So this is a great motivation, for any organization to see that, okay, you know what, our projects are suffering because the team members, the project managers we have, they're great, but they don't have the right skills. They don't understand they don't have the standard to follow. Some projects are successful because we have a hero project managers. Some projects are not successful because they don't have the right knowledge and skill, technical skills. Let me share one of my story. When I was hired by a company in Australia, so I was talking to this recruitment agent, and he was very excited because this was his first placement in this organization. While this organization, the recruitment company, is a very big company, but for them this was the first account. So he invited me for coffee on that morning and said, "Dharam, you're very lucky to have this job." And I got excited. Hang on, why do you think I'm lucky for this job? And he said, because there were 115 applications on this particular role. That was a senior project manager role for Agile. And okay, I said, I got curious to know why he picked my application out of 115 when there can be highly qualified project manager, program manager. So I asked him, can you please run down, give me why you selected, probably he selected top 5 or top 3 to present it to the company, Telstra in this case. So he said, Dharam, out of 115, some of them were international, some of them were out of state, some of them were junior, so we eliminated them. Then we run a, there's a robot, you mentioned robots, robotically, automatically it will pick the application which has PMP. So they use PMP as a certificate. Then they got around 35 applications. Then they start looking further and further. Okay, you know what? Your certificate, your CV, we noticed other certificates such as PgMP and RMP. At the time, I had already RMP and PBA, a few other certificates. So that has encouraged us to pick your application and review it in detail. And we looked not only your CV, but we also look at your social media presence. How active you are you're promoting project management, learning project management, and all this has helped us to pick you as one of the potential candidates. So, and now we can see that how, and there were other people, they said, Dharam, I don't know why they didn't pick me. I'm here and working in this similar environment, similar industry with 20-year experience. Why am I just told you just have to have a certificate called PMP or PgMP or PfMP, whatever relevant to your job, what they're looking for. So that's one, I think this is a very important motivation factor. People have to think about if they want to stay in the job, if you want to grow in the job, if you want to get into the job, PMP, PgMP, PfMP, RMP, these certificates will help you to stay and grow.
So maybe, Dharam, amazing story, and maybe, to be selected out of 115 others, and sure, you're curious why you were selected. You asked us, and some would say I was just lucky, and I would respond to them. You were not lucky, the one is lucky who is prepared, who prepares himself to be lucky, and that's what you did, by it's not a linear process, you add one certification to the other, and then eventually there comes out a success. No, you are building your life, and it's a lot of components and modules you are building. And in the end, with your social profile, if you have 10 years of connections and articles and whatever, you have built a image of yourself, a digital Dharam, and that is being looked at. And if that's authentic and doesn't have a lot of breaks, but it's building on each other, it shows who you are. And that's what these robots or whatever, these good HR recruiters can look at.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we are talking about, impossibilities to possibility, out of, if especially the market like this, when so many organizations are letting people go. So sooner or later, the market will be flooded with really great project managers, program managers, portfolio managers. And how you want to get back into the market, or maybe stay in the job as well, because when they're selecting, they have to get rid of 500 people. They don't just ask top 5, just 500 people. They have to look at the criteria. They say, okay, this guy has been in the organization for last 10 years. He has been doing a good job. He has the right certification. And no, we don't want to ask him to go. But the other people who may be good, but they may not be as experienced as you are, or having the right certificate. So this is definitely the PMI certification, and given that the PMI is a global body, and it's so many certificates or people are there who already have this. So you should not, if you're not done, and the people watching, if you're not done the certificate, you should get into this. And given that new system is coming from PMI, and write the right ATP, right mentor, right guide to help you out with your project management, program management, portfolio management, agile certification. There's a number of certification. And the most important thing for you is to find out which certificate is going to make your life easier, which will give you the advantage when you are standing next to each other with the other person. You have certificate, the person don't have certificate. Why they should be picking you? So this certificate gives them kind of a extra advantage to, this guy, both of them equal, but this has certificate as well. So when he is going to do job, he will be, at the end of the day, it's all how what you do, that's also matter. But when they're looking the person or the CV, that makes a huge difference.
Right. But it can be hard for people to select which certificates to go, because each of these certificates is an investment in money, but also in your own time, and to learn that, and then you want to see the result. How would you suggest that people who enter this whole thing or are at a certain stage, how do they get help to select the right certificates for them? PMI has 8 old certifications, 1 new, and then we have the digital agile certification. So that PMI's offering is now 13 certifications, and it will get more and more. But then alone the agile certification on the market, I saw a market overview, more than 250 different certifications in agile. What to do. So how do you get help, Dharam?
I think first thing first, person should see what is where I am and where I want to go. So you should create your own vision. So like now I am here, I want to be a project manager in 3 years time or 5 year time, whatever you have. Or I'm a project manager, I want to become program manager. So what is my path? And then look around which certificates are available. Look at the body, as you mentioned, 250 certificates and they are covering agile from different angles. So as a company, you can start another certificate from agile, very easy to start. And many people say, look, I'm agile certificate, but is it the right certificate for you? Is it going to help you into get the job? If you just come to me with the, Dharam, I got XYZ agile certificate. No, the organization look for reputed organization. So given that PMI has built a name for last 51 years now, they are known almost every industry, every country. You go to any country, whether Saudi Arabia, Chile, Australia, India, anywhere, you'll find people knows about PMI. If they are into project management, they know about PMI, Project Management Institute. And they also know there are certain certificates are really adding value to them onto their bottom line. So when you are selecting, of course you look at job market, what kind of jobs are available and what they're asking for. And yes, most of, as you mentioned, the project management professional, PMP, is one of the important one for you. But the problem with that is almost every project manager has this PMP. How are you going to differentiate yourself? Whether just PMP will add more value? Probably not. And no, like in my case, they picked me out of like top 35 application, but they gone further down to see my other certificate, like I had at that time PgMP, RMP, other certificate. They helped me to be picked for top five or top 3 applications. So after you got into PMP, now what else you can do to be in the top or cream of the creams? When you look at PgMP and PfMP or other certificate, will put you into the top, especially if it is relevant to you. If it's not relevant, you know what, Dharam, I'm not into program manager, portfolio manager. Why should I worry? Yeah, that's not relevant to you. Don't worry about it. But if you have the experience of project program management and portfolio management, you should go for that, because that will give you a differentiator. And
Okay.
By the way, Thomas, it's not about the designation you have, because if you look at construction industry, there are very senior people. They are running multi-billion-dollar projects. They call it project, by the way. They don't have a concept of program. But you look at this, big construction work which is happening. You are managing that, and that $20 billion work. But they call it a project. They call it the project manager. You are the project manager, but you are even more than a program manager.
Yeah.
So you need to see whether this, it's not about title, whether I have done the programs, whether I have been portfolio manager without So that is very important for you to differentiate title versus the work you have done. Once you have that, you can find yourself, you are eligible for certificates which were not in your scope, your thinking, and that will open lots of doors for you.
Well, yeah, you're totally right. That's dependent on where you are and what the environment is. So let me pose this question again. What would you recommend, Dharam, to somebody with these questions? How should I develop myself and where to go? Would you be able to answer his call? I'm certain I could say, I'm mentoring momentarily in this moment, 8 people in parallel, and this mentoring is not so deeply intensive. For some I'm doing weekly 2-hour calls, and for some it's just a month, and some WhatsApp and so. But you can help people to answer their questions and to develop their own thoughts and thinking. So I would be willing to do that, and I think most of project managers who have a good experience and a long career path behind them can at least share their ideas and pose the right questions that everybody can find his own answer.
Yeah, and Thomas, to answer your question, like you people can touch base with us, and they can actually book a 15-minute time or some time with me. While the booking is 15 minutes, I don't have another meeting. I just continue. So most important thing is you need to understand where you are, and look towards a mentor or guide who can actually give you right direction. And don't just try it by yourself and think. And after a while, you realize that I've wasted so much time and money, but I'm not still there yet. So there are several people available. There are really great leaders and the mentors. So look towards them, ask them, have your mentors, having a good mentor with you, always, great, because they have seen more than you, and they can give you right direction.
Right. And I think, these Corona times and these work from home times, these virtual times are even very good to find a mentor, because every mentor is virtual now.
Exactly.
You don't have one-to-one meetings in a bar or whatever with a beer. You can have a beer while mentoring, but it's a virtual beer somehow.
Exactly.
So now is the time to find a mentor and look globally. And the world is so the amount of potential mentors has grown dramatically, because if you open up your mind and you leave your old perspectives behind to meet a mentor in a bar, go and look for somebody. And you know what? If you ask somebody a question, and you will have a test. If you find a great leader who can help, you will get an answer in time.
Exactly.
But if you don't get an answer in time, might not be the right person to talk to.
Yeah. So that's Thomas, it's great talking with you. It's a lot to learn from each other, and hopefully people are also finding it useful. So as Thomas mentioned, if you have any doubts and anything you'd like to discuss, please feel free to reach out to us. Yes, we don't charge anything for talking to us, but if you do take our programs or certification, which we like to give you the best training, best guidance, yes, there will be fees, but first thing, you talk to the people. Thomas will not charge anything. I'm not going to charge anything for talking, even if you don't take our certification or any program. But that will open up some doors for you. You never know. So, okay. Yeah, great. So thanks, Thomas.
Thank you, Dharam.
Yeah. So the topic itself was great, and I think with the discussion we had, lots of discussion. So people continue to learn from this, and hopefully, we're going to bring more and more topics. People continue to learn from this session. So, and also I will request anybody watching, please put your questions. If you have any question, if you think that this can be a topic for us, we like to bring for you. Half an hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever works. We'll talk to you via this media or any other media you like to discuss with us. So with this, thank you again for watching this video, and thank you, Thomas, for your ongoing support to build this knowledge sea or ocean, where I'm learning, and I'm sure you're learning, and the people are learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dharam, and I wish you a good season and a good shift into the new year, and let's see you again next year. Thank you, Dharam.
Thank you. Take care.